Hey guys. Hey, let me go live on Facebook too really quick. Hey Instagram. We are going to go live on Facebook and see what we can get going here. Let's see. It's always fun trying to go live on multi-platforms. Okay, I think we are live on Facebook. We are definitely live on IG. Hey IG. Hey Facebook. So today is really just like an informal discussion. I just kind of wanted to talk about, some business, some tax and bookkeeping biz talk today, okay? So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about or to kind of go over are some tax rejection codes. So when you are new in the industry, it can be pretty daunting to get your first rejection, right? Where you actually e-file a tax return and it's not rejected. And now you actually have to navigate reject codes and you have to decipher like what went wrong, how do you correct it? So I also, I kind of want to start this tax biz and bookkeeping biz discussion just talking about those rejection notices. And then, whatever other questions you guys want to talk about today, I have a slew of topics that we can talk about with regards to how you can run your business more effectively, how you can research tax law to make sure that you are making the best decisions for your clients, how you can handle really difficult client situations, because oftentimes that's what's going to be a true mark of your success, is how effective you are in just handling tough situations when they come your way. Because let me be the first to tell you, tough situations are going to come, they will arise, and you want to be able to persevere, right? So over the past 10 years of me being in the tax industry, in the tax and bookkeeping industry, I've seen a lot of different things transpire with client situations. I've seen just very specific situations with regards to Internal Revenue Service, audits, tax preparer penalties. So it's so much in this business that you need to be aware of. It's so much that you actually need to navigate. And I kind of just wanted to have this tax biz and bookkeeping biz talk with you guys today. So welcome. If you are new to me, my name is Krista Tyus. I teach tax and accounting professionals how to build multiple six-figure business with my program, Tax and Accounting Six-Figure Accelerator, okay, formerly known as Tax and Accounting Clients on Demand. This is why I'm always tripping it up when I say it now, because we are on the 4.0 version of this program. I'm super excited. So if you need help, if you want mentorship, if you actually want support and coaching in your tax and bookkeeping biz to help you scale to $250,000 and beyond, definitely check out my program. You can either click on any links below or head on over to my page to check out the link in my bio. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about, it's too hot. Let's talk about tax reject codes, okay? So my first reject code was honestly an error it was an error on my part. I transposed a number. And I just remember freaking out when it came back that the social security number was actually wrong. And when I reviewed what the client gave me, when I would review what was actually in the system, it was because I transposed a number. So from that time, I made it a really great habit to quadruple check all of my numbers. It's not uncommon, especially back in the day, for me to prepare a tax return one time and actually go back through that tax return maybe 2 or 3 times, especially if it was a very complicated tax return. So what that looked like was I would take the source documents, my work papers, the W-2s, the 1099s, the mortgage interest, any other statements that they would have submitted over, and I would actually review line by line to make sure that all the numbers were entered in correctly and that I did not transpose any numbers. The second reject that I got back from the IRS was actually an error on the client's part, okay? So they had written down a social security number and I put that social security number exactly as it was written down. into the system and it got rejected by the Internal Revenue Service. And I was so confused because I'm like, when I reviewed it, I'm like, this is the exact number that I put into the system. I had to call the taxpayer to say, hey, your tax return was actually rejected because the Social Security number is wrong. Can you confirm that this is the correct Social Security number? And when they actually confirmed, it wasn't actually written down. And so here's what I did after that rejection. I actually started asking for the actual Social Security cards. So if it was like their first time coming to me, I would actually need a copy of their Social Security cards. You know, I would take a copy of all the children's Social Security cards, because parents, or at least the Social Security the Social Security statements that you can actually get from the administration office, they can print the Social Security number if they don't have their cards. But I made it a habit from then on to actually ask for real Social Security cards, so I can actually verify that the number was correct. The third reject that I got was the same thing, but I did a thing that I think a lot of newbie tax professionals do. They rely on the prior year's tax return. And what happened was, I was looking at the prior year's tax return, and I was looking at the information on that tax return. I was looking at the name, you know, the Social Security number, the date of birth, and I was taking that information from there and putting it into the current tax return that I was doing. And unbeknownst to me, that prior tax return had an error on it that the tax professional had corrected at the time, but they didn't update the tax return that they had given the client. So I'm relying on false information, right? Just wrong information. So that was another rejection that happened. I'm looking at a birth date on this tax return that wasn't the actual birth date of the dependent. So again, when you are, you know, doing taxes, you want to rely on the original sources of income. It could be the Social Security cards, it could be the driver's license, it could be the birth certificates. You want to rely on original source documents and not just what the client writes down for you on a receipt or a napkin. You don't want to rely just on the prior year tax return, because yes, other tax preparers make mistakes too. Okay, you want to try to collect the original source documents. So after I started going through all these reject notices, like, I was just getting frustrated, but it was making me become a better tax professional, because I didn't take it lightly. I'm like, I can't have rejection notices. Like, the IRS it tracks that, right? The IRS tracks your rejections and how many rejections you have, and it's actually logged within your P10 portal, right? So they actually see how many rejections you have. So you want to ensure that your taxes that you are preparing are at the highest quality. You want to double and triple check. You want to even pay someone, like, you know, I used to have, you know, my family working with me, my brother, my cousins, and I would pay them to actually review the W-2s, the 1099s, all the client's information, the Social Security cards that I would make copies of. I would actually have them review that information, that it was actually correct on the tax return, right? Because sometimes, you know, if you're doing taxes all day long, you're looking at these numbers all day long, you can kind of miss something because your eyes are just used to seeing it. Sometimes you need to either take a break and come back. You need to have somebody review it for you. Or one strategy that a very seasoned and veteran mentor taught me, she said, print it out. She said, for some reason, when you're looking at something on this computer screen, you know, your eyes just can't detect all of the errors. But she said, for some reason, when you print it out, you actually have a hard copy, you actually go through and you can actually spot those rejections or those errors a lot faster. Okay, so type in the chat right now, like, what types of rejections have you guys had just in your tax career period, so we can kind of open up this dialogue. What rejections have you guys had? Now, here is when it gets more complicated. So I was telling you guys about some rejections with regards to Social Security numbers being wrong, transpose, date of birth being wrong, maybe even last names, right? Because the IRS, your last name has to match your Social Security number, what they have with the Social Security Administration. One other common IRS reject is a dependent being claimed by someone else. How many of you guys have actually had that experience where you filed a tax return and your client's dependent that they're rightfully claiming was already claimed by someone else? And honestly, this can be one of the most devastating experiences for your client when they go in to file their tax return and it says that someone has already claimed their child. Okay, it's one of the most devastating things, because it's like you're freaking out, like, who has my children's social security number, you know, who has our contact information, how has it been compromised? Or they're angry and they're upset because the other parent, they know it was the other parent who wasn't entitled to claim the child on the tax return. Okay, so here's a few scenarios that you're going to run into. And I remember calling the Internal Revenue Service the very first time trying to figure this out. I'm like, this lady, I filed her taxes, she's the mom, she showed me proof that she took care of these kids, she has their birth certificates, their social security cards, she has their report cards showing that they stayed with her, right, that she was the primary parent. She had all the proof in the world that these dependents were hers, yet they were claimed by the father on another tax return. And the IRS agent said, well, she can file her return without the dependents and then do an amendment later, or she can just submit the return as a paper return as is with the dependents on the return, and the IRS is going to see that two returns are claiming the same dependent, and both of these returns will have to go through an audit process, where normally it would just be a paper audit where the IRS would send each taxpayer a paper audit to say, hey, there's conflicting information, we need you to submit proof that you are the person entitled to claim this child. Now, normally 9 times out of 10, when the IRS does a paper audit like that to see who is the rightful person to claim the child as a dependent, normally only one person really has all of the substantiation, right? Normally only one person has, you know, the address that matches where the children go to school, right? Normally one person has, you know, the actual court documents, or maybe both people actually have those court documents, but the court documents actually state that this person is to claim this child during these times, right, under these circumstances. So the onus and the burden of proof, unfortunately, would have to be placed on your client, even if and still they were the ones entitled to claim the dependent. Okay, they still have to submit over proof, but it should be a lot easier for that person because they should have all the substantiation. So that is going to be kind of like, if you haven't experienced that, that is always a very nerve-wracking thing, like I said, for your clients to actually go through, for them to just, they're angry, right, at the other parent, they're disappointed, and honestly, these are single parents. They need their money, they need their tax refund, they're relying on this money to help their families, right? And so you want to do your best as a professional to just, you know, I guess calm down your client and let them know that you have it under control, and let them know the process, and let them know the expectations. And also, I tell my clients this all the time, what you want to do is under promise and over deliver. Okay, under promise and over deliver. Under promise and over deliver. Okay, and so what that means is you want to tell your clients, like, yeah, it could take a few months. I've had people do actually submit their returns, paper returns, to the IRS, and it took an entire year. Have you guys ever experienced that? If you've been in the business for a while, have you ever experienced a client situation where it literally has taken a year for your client to get a resolution on their tax situation, or to even get a refund that they were due for their tax situation, right? And so you want to just constantly show up, be there for your client, be there every step of the way, have open communication, stay in contact with them, stay in contact with the Internal Revenue Service. I was telling my clients the other day, I said the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? And so what does that mean? That means the person or the entity that keeps making noise, you're going to eventually get a result. And sometimes it takes you calling into the Internal Revenue Service multiple times over a period of months, consistently speaking to different reps before you can actually help your clients get a result. But don't worry, just stay consistent, stay the squeaky wheel, because eventually you will get the oil, okay? All right, so what else do we have here? So those are just some common, IRS E-File rejections that I've actually been through. And some other things are, just client situations, right? Just you as a preparer, how you actually just want to show up and provide a wow customer experience. So type in the chat for me right now, like, what do you guys do to provide like this wow customer experience for your clients? Like, I was just talking to my clients about this. I was like, how can we surprise and delight? How can we go above and beyond, right? So I want you guys to participate. Type in the chat right now, what are some ways that you actually, just surprise and delight your clients? How do you go above and beyond? How do you kind of set yourself up, set yourself apart from the competition, right? Outside of just, being a professional and doing a really great job, what are some things that you can do to really surprise and delight your clients? And I'm gonna go to the comments, because that's what I was actually thinking about. I'm gonna go to the comments because I can't see them right now on Facebook. So let me see something. Let's see if I can see the comments on Facebook. Hey guys, we got Jen in the house, Nicolette, Abigail, Anna, Juan. Hey guys. All right, so Anna says, how should you charge for 1090B per transactions? Hey, Anna. So I've been seeing a lot of you guys post about 1099Bs in the Facebook groups. We have a lot of Robinhood traders over the past 12 months, a lot of people that made a lot of trades, a lot of people that made a lot of money. And so what we typically do, we still charge based upon the complexity of the tax return. So when you say charge for 1099B, I believe that form we have priced anywhere between $50 and $100 per form per 1099B, and I think if my memory serves me correct. So you're pretty much just charging for every form that you actually have to populate. When you're preparing someone's taxes, so you're going to charge for each 1099B. You're going to charge for, I can't think of the other form number. Is it 85? Is it 8548, guys? I can't think of the form, but the key here, guys, is you want to charge based upon the complexity of your client's tax return. So every form that they have, it should be adding up to your price. Okay, it should be definitely added up to your price. So Nicolette says tax return review. Yes. So review your tax returns, guys. Review your tax returns. Review them before you actually submit them to the Internal Revenue Service. Verify those social security numbers, those date of births. Verify that all the information in the tax return is correct on the W-2s. If you have multi-state tax returns, make sure that you're double checking the multi-states, right? That the correct amount of income is flowing over to the applicable state, okay? Type in the chat too, guys, any very specific experience that you've had with taxes. Hey, IG, you guys are really far away, so I can't see some of the comments that you're saying. Hey. So someone says, in addition to explaining their current W-2 and tax situation, email them a follow-up with a few pointers for the next tax season. I like that. Sid, I like that. Yep, I love that. Can you send that information with the tax report? Yes. So let's see. I think that's all the questions on IG. Yeah. All right. So, okay, so let's talk about surprising and delighting I keep saying comments, our clients. Surprising and delighting. So someone had actually said, they were like, Crystal, we can send birthday cards, right? You can send birthday cards for your clients. You can actually just stay in contact with your clients. Honestly, I think Intuit did a study and said that one of the biggest complaints on why tax professionals or why clients of tax professionals and bookkeepers actually leave is because their professional didn't communicate with them. right? Something as simple as just effective communication was a reason why clients was leaving their pro. So you just being the person to actually explain to your client their tax situation, how they can effectively just be better for next year, actually going through their tax return line by line. Like, let's be honest, how many of us actually explain to our tax clients what went on with their tax return? Type a 1 in the chat if you actually actively do that with the majority of your clients. Type a 1 in the chat if you actually go through your client's tax return and you let them know this was your adjusted gross income, these are the credits that you qualify for that total to this amount, these are the deductions that reduce your taxable income, right? Like, who here does that? Who does that? Okay, so Sanathia says she does it. Elaine says she does. She calls it a tax analysis. Lane says she does it for every client. Okay, Lane, come through. Come through, Lane. She says she does it for every client. Juan does it. Nicolette does it. So one of my clients, she had a really great idea. I think it was Janetta. Shout out to Janetta. She said that she does a Loom. You guys know what Loom is. So Loom is kind of like the adversary of Zoom, okay? So she says she gets on Loom and she walks through the client's tax return and she sends it to them, right? So the client actually gets a video, a pre-recorded video of her walking through the tax return, going through line by line. And I thought that was so ingenious, especially now that, you know, we're really leveraging virtual. But the reason why I thought it was ingenious was because she's actually expanding her capacity now, because now she doesn't actually have to get on a Zoom call with someone. She can just get on Loom, record the video, right? It's a quick, 3 to 5 minute video, and she sends it to the client. And I thought it was absolutely amazing. So definitely, guys, take that nugget. It was a beautiful nugget that she has. Janetta also, she walks her clients through the onboarding process with a video. She has a pre-recorded video to say, hey, we're using Onboardable. Here's how you're going to register. Here's how you're going to submit your documents. Here's how you're going to fill out your client questionnaire. Here's how you get support. And I was letting my clients know this the other day. I was like, guys, you want to have an onboarding process that's so seamless. Like, when after people pay you money, you want them to go through a process that is so seamless to where they are delighted to go through the process. And I gave them an analogy. I said, when you get on a flight, when you get on Delta or American Airlines, right? When you get on, it's consistent every single time. They give you a little hand sanitizer wipe, because it's COVID, okay? You're seated. They come by after, you get to a certain elevation. They offer you drinks and snacks. The pilot gets on the radio and he lets you know, welcome to this flight. Here's the weather. Here's where you're going. We might run into some turbulence, but don't worry. Everything will be fine, right? He actually spells out the entire trip before takeoff. And it kind of relaxes you. It puts you into the state of mind that you are being taken care of. And so you guys need a tax and bookkeeping process just like that. When clients pay you money, when they book a call, you just want a seamless process to where everything just flows for them, okay? You want to make it dangerously easy for them. So what I like that Janetta did was that, when they onboard, she has this welcome video, right? Walking them through the process. She's setting the standard on how they should contact her, right? How many times clients contact you all sorts of ways, right? And now it's actually jamming you up. It jams up your workflow process because you got clients contacting you on WhatsApp, on Facebook, they're texting you, they're sending you Facebook messages, Instagram DMs, right? They're emailing you. You want to have like a streamlined process where you're like, this is how we contact. This is how you can get support. This is how you ask questions, right? You want to make it dangerously easy for people to work with you. Now, when it comes to the end where you're offboarding the client, again, you want to have, high communication with your client, but also you want to set those standards through the workflow process. So what that means is I tell my clients, you got to have turnaround times. automatically, like when you're working with someone, you got to have turnaround times. Like how long does it take to typically do a cleanup? How long is it going to take you to do a business tax return? Like have very specific onboarding and offboarding times. So what I was telling my clients, I was like, it's not uncommon. It wasn't uncommon for me to have a 7-day turnaround time for a business tax return. Like clients couldn't drop off a business tax return or couldn't send me business documents and I would send it back to them the next day or the same day. That rarely happened. Okay, rarely happened, because when you get to a certain level in your tax business and your tax and bookkeeping business, it's impossible, one, to be sending business complex tax returns, S corps, partnerships, corporations back within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, at a high quality, at a high degree. So I always just set the standard. If I thought it was going to take me 3 days, I told them I'll have it back to them within 7 days, right? Again, going back to the principle, under promise and over deliver. Now, I think it's going to take me 3 days, but I'm not going to tell the client that, because we all know things happen, okay? Can we agree to that? Like, things happen where, you promise something to someone and now you can't make good on that promise, and now you actually, it just diminishes the credibility. So however long you think it's going to take you to onboard a client and to work with them, you want to double it, and that's what you want to communicate to the client. Okay, so if you think it's going to take you 2 days to prepare the tax return, tell them 5. Say, hey, today is Monday, I'm going to have this back to you by Friday, but still work really hard to do it within that internal guideline of 48 hours, right? Because now when the client receives their tax return on Wednesday, they're like shocked and awed, right? They're like, oh my gosh, she is so great, he is so great, because they told me Friday and here it is Wednesday and they're delivering on the service that I signed up for. Okay, so you want to go above and beyond, guys. But going above and beyond looks like, and it's really simple, it's just under promising, right? Just saying, you know what, it's going to be about 14 days to actually get you cleaned up, to get your books caught up and up to date, even if you know it's only going to take 7 or 5, right? Again, we're just under promising and over delivering. Okay, so what else do we have here? What else do we have through here? So one of the things, or one of the situations that clients were communicating with me on was that clients were falling through the cracks. Okay, how many of you guys have had clients fall through the cracks this year? Let's just keep it real. Put a 2 in the chat. Let me know if anyone fell through the cracks. So what does falling through the cracks mean first? So falling through the cracks is, someone booked a call and you missed calling them. Someone signed up for your service and you didn't get back to them at the agreed upon time, or they literally slipped through the cracks. Like they got lost in those emails that you have, right? Like who here got 1,000 unread emails right now, right? They got lost in those emails. Maybe they reached out a certain way that you haven't checked yet. So again, having that streamlined process. Maybe they reached out to another email that your business no longer utilizes, for instance, okay? And maybe you are just too goddamn busy right now and you just ain't got to them yet, okay? Can we say amen to that? If you just so busy that you just ain't got to them yet, okay? And that happens. A lot of you guys are crushing it right now. For the first time in your business, the way that you're crushing it, and every time you go to a new level, yes, things are going to start to break, things are going to start to crumble, things are going to like get jammed and backlogged. Okay, so what I was telling my client, I said we need to make sure that there are triggers set up, right? That there are certain triggers set up. So when a client pays you money, there needs to just be a trigger of an email to go out, an automation email to go out to say, hey, thank you so much for this payment. Here's the next steps that I need you to follow, right? Because sometimes, and we've all probably been there, a client might have paid you money or they might have paid a deposit and now they don't hear from you, right? And now they're like, okay, I paid this person money and I haven't heard from them. Like I've even been in that position where you've paid someone money and it's just like you're thinking like what next? Like what's going on? You don't want your clients to feel like that. So there needs to be very specific triggers that happen when someone pays you money or they book a call or they have any interaction with you, to let the client know, here is what the next step is, here is what the next process looks like. Okay, and I know that it's going to take you to sit down for an hour or two and to map this stuff out, to plan this stuff out, to actually be intentional with. Let's see. Blaine says 2. Sandrisha says 2. Donnell says 2. Yep. Hey guys. Okay, hold on 1 second. I think my cell phone is about to die. Let me see. See if I can plug this up. Oh no, I don't think I can plug it up from here. Let's see. Okay, it's working. Well, let's see. Okay, all right, and then Facebook is like stalling out on me. Okay, so Sandrisha says, I found that I was asking clients to send documents too frequently and they don't respond or send documents. I'm following up with what he says. I am only following up with only 3 times. Okay. Oh man, like, did Facebook just go out? This is why technology. Am I still live on Facebook, guys? I can't see it anymore. Let's see. Lord. Okay, there we go. Okay. Whew. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's a really great point, Sandrisha. So Sandrisha said that clients, she was asking clients to send documents too frequently. Okay. So I actually talk about this in my program. Here's what I want you guys to do. That is a problem, right? So for instance, if you're looking at a bookkeeping cleanup client, and with this bookkeeping cleanup, you're going through all their transactions, you noticing like a whole bunch of craziness, right? You're noticing that they got some Macy's going, they got some Christian Louis Vuittons on here, and then they got some USPS, some business stuff all mixed and commingled. You don't really understand like what is business and what is actually personal. You can have an idea of what might be personal, right, based upon the description, but you really don't know because this is your first time working with this client, and it takes a few months on a new bookkeeping client to really start to understand their behavior, like how they spend their money, how they're managing their money. Okay. And so one of the strategies that I tell my clients is, I tell them you want to reduce the amount of times that you continuously go to your client. Oh, you guys say you can't hear me. You guys can't hear me. Hold on 1 second. Oh no. Let's see. You guys can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Let me bring this closer. Can you hear me now? I feel like the Verizon guy. Can you hear me now? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's see if you guys can hear me now. Okay. Okay, you guys can hear me. Sorry about the whole tech stuff, guys. Okay, so what I was saying was that when you're working with clients, when you're working with business clients, and you are doing their bookkeeping cleanup, it's going to take you a few months to actually really understand like their transactions, really understand how they spend their money, their cash flow. Okay. And what I always tell my clients is that when you're doing that initial cleanup, there's going to be a lot of confusion. There's going to be a lot of questions that you have, even when you're working with a new client, period. When you're working with new clients, especially the more complicated or the more money they have, the more transactions are involved, there will be a lot of questions that you would need to ask them to get clarity on so that you can properly provide your service, right? So that you can properly onboard and offboard them. And what I tell my clients is try to wait as long as you can before going to your clients, asking them question after question. Like the worst thing you could do is like, what I call it is nickel and dime your clients on the questions, right? Where you're like, okay, what's this? And then what's this? And then like a day later, you're sending them 2 more questions. And a day later, you're sending them 2 more questions. It really becomes, very tedious for them. And it makes you look it doesn't put you in a best light as a professional, right? And this used to be me. Like, I used to be like confused on like, well, what's this transaction? Is it business? Is it personal? And I would constantly contact my clients until I figured out that I just need to wait, actually need to go through the entire file, mark up all of my questions, and then I will have a conference call with my client to go through all of the list of concerns or contingencies or questions that I actually had for them about their file. So if you guys can do that, and sometimes guys too, when you actually just go through that process and you keep moving along and you just save that question for later, sometimes you actually figure out the answer as you continue to move through that person's file. You get more information, you're actually working through all of their finances. But what I want you to do is try to limit the amount of times that you're going to your clients, you're asking them for information. Try to compile it in an Excel document as like questions to be answered. I know in QuickBooks, I used to actually use Ask My Accountant. You know, QuickBooks has a little Ask My Accountant that you can categorize transactions under. And all those transactions, you can actually print out a report where it has all those transactions listed. I would just categorize all those transactions I really didn't know how to properly categorize under Ask My Accountant, and I would run that Ask My Accountant report, and I would either send it to my client, depending on their preferences. I would send it to my client and have them annotate what was what is personal, business, like what specifically that transaction was for, or we would just hop on a quick call and go through that list. So you guys can utilize that strategy as well. One of the other things that I was telling my clients was that you want to understand the best way that your clients like to be communicated with too, right? Like this is going to be a great part of like just trying to provide like a wow customer experience is what's the best way do they like to communicate? How, like, you know, if you have to contact them on the fly, do they prefer text message? Do they prefer you know, telephone calls? Do they prefer email? So you want to ask your clients up front, what is the best way that you prefer to be contacted? So for instance, I had one client who he never texts, right? And I'm a texter, okay? Don't call me. You can text me what you need to say. Text me what you need to say. We can have a conversation. That's just how I am, right? I've always been that way. I recognize though that some people are not that way. Some people prefer a telephone call, right? And rightfully so. A telephone call could be much faster, especially if it's something urgent, if it's something pressing, then yes, pick up the phone and just make the telephone call. I would text my client questions, guys, and I'm talking about, like, guys, this is 10 years ago. Mind you, I'm literally pulling from 10 years of just tax and bookkeeping situations. So keep in mind that all these scenarios that I'm going over are like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, okay? So I would text my client and I would ask him a question about something that I needed to know, and he wouldn't respond. He never responded to me. He never responded, okay? And when I saw him, I'd be like, hey, I text you, and he said that he would see it, but he just didn't respond. He saw my messages, right? He saw them, he just never responded. So long story short, he was the type of person where if you didn't call him, you were not going to get a response from him. And that it honestly just irked me, right? It irked me so bad. I was just like, well, I got to call you. Can you just respond to my email? Can you respond to my text message, right? But you do want to ask your clients, because there are some clients that just don't check their email. There are some clients that don't respond to their text messages, no matter if they see it or not. So you want to ask your clients, if I need to get in contact with you, if I have an urgent question, what is the best way that you like to be contacted? And this is going to go a part of your wow customer experience, right? To help you guys provide that wow customer experience. Gabrielle says, oh, that's good, and I can actually upload those questions into Onboardable for easy answering. Oh yeah, for sure. So hey Gabrielle. So Gabrielle, there's like a follow-up question section in Onboardable where you can just hit follow-up questions, and it'll take you to that person's chat with your client, and you can send those follow-up questions. Because honestly, guys, yeah, when you review someone's questionnaire and you're looking like, oh, okay, this person actually didn't upload this prior information that they had last year, or I see that they have, you know, rental property and actually need this additional document, or I need clarity about this dependent. If, you know, there will be very specific follow-up questions that you have to ask when you're onboarding a client. You just want to try to do it all at once. You want to try to do it all at once. Lane says text and email. She hate calls now, so I need to hire a more reliable person for phone calls. Yes. So that's another segment too, Lane. It's just hiring people for the tasks that are important but tedious. And I think a lot of my clients, when they start growing and experiencing a lot of growth, they're like, Krista, I have clients, I'm making money, but I still feel like I'm spinning my wheels, right? I hear that a lot. Like, people are like, I still feel like I'm spinning my wheels. And when I look at their business and we're kind of breaking everything down, it's like, yeah, because you're doing these tedious tasks that are important, but you don't have to be the person doing them. And at this stage of your business, you should not be the person doing them. You should not be the person answering your emails. You should not be the person actually doing most of the tax returns right now. Hate to see it. Hate to say it though. You shouldn't. You shouldn't be the person categorizing the transactions in bookkeeping, right? You shouldn't be reconciling the bank statements at this point. Like, there's going to be a point in your business where all of the important but tedious tasks should be outsourced to someone else. You shouldn't be responsible for your client onboarding at a certain point. So there will become a very time in your business when you're reaching that scale point where the only thing that you should be focused on is having a strategy session, those high level strategy sessions that you need to outsource all those other calls, and then managing the workflow process, overseeing the workflow process, reviewing, make sure that the quality controls are there. That is your job as you start to scale, if you truly though want to be a CEO. Okay, that's if you truly want to be a CEO. I know a lot of people, they're cool with just like, okay, this is my tax business, I'm the operator of this business, I'm the sole operator, and I'm going to work it, and that's perfectly fine. But if this is kind of like a business that you truly want to scale to multiple six figures, where you want to go towards and past $250,000, it's important to start outsourcing those important but tedious tasks. It's very important to do that. So type in the chat right now for me, like, where do you guys feel is overwhelming for you right now in your business? Like, what's overwhelming for you right now? Again, this is tax and bookkeeping business talk, so let's just keep it going. So we talked about rejection notices, we talked about providing a wow customer experience, we talked about communication standards with your clients. I mean, we've been touching on a bit for like the past 40 minutes, and that's just, we haven't even scratched the surface yet, guys. Okay, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. So tell me, what are some things right now that you are frustrated with in your business? Right? What are some things that you're frustrated with in your business? Let me see if I can see IG too. Hey, IG. Okay, so someone had said earlier, I think it was Burton, had said so many cracks can't keep up with the emails. Okay, so the emails, yes. Emails. So here's one of the things that Rachel is my VP of operations, and one of the things that we talked about sometime last year was just email response rate. I told her, I was like, Rachel, I want to have a 24-hour response time. Like, I want to respond to everyone within 24 hours. Okay? And that was kind of like my commitment. I was like, I don't care if they sent me a DM on Facebook. I don't care if they sent me an IG message. I don't care if it was an email. I don't care if they sent a message in a bottle. I had a very strong standard that I wanted 24 hours, okay? And she agreed. She was just like, yes, we could do it. We could do it. And so that's just one of the things that I think was a tedious task that was important, very important, because you got leads coming through email. You have prospects. You have clients. You have follow-up. You have money, period. Money is in your email. And so while it's tedious, it's very important. So all those tedious tasks, you guys need to just outsource right now. You just need to have someone doing and dedicated to just quality assurance for that one particular thing. Sanathia says, I need an assistant, but I'm a personal person, so I want to talk to people, but I also need to work. Hey, Sanathia. So, You know, Cynthia, when I had my brick and mortar tax office, I really did enjoy talking to people when they came in. Like, people would come, they would sit down in front of me. I had my little Keurig machine. I had like some honey buns and bonbons and stuff like that, and I would offer them some snacks. And I really genuinely enjoyed just connecting with my clients. I would ask them what they were going to do with their refund money. Most people were going to like buy furniture, buy a car was like the most common thing, or get a new place. It was like those were the top 3 things people did with their refund: get a new car, get a new place, or buy furniture. Okay, and so when you are a people person, yes, you like that connection. You like talking to people. You like building that genuine relationship, that bond with your clients. When you are trying to scale though, Cynthia, I'm telling you, it's going to be super hard. It went from being fun and enjoyable to sitting there talking to people to being stressed and overwhelming, because now that I'm connecting with this person that's sitting in front of me, I literally have 7 people waiting in my lobby to get their taxes done. And now I'm stressed. Now I'm overwhelmed. Now the connection is not even there because I'm so busy just trying to get them out of this chair so I can move on to the next person. Now it's just transactional now. And so coming from in person to now virtual, I feel like it's like you can have that special touch, right? You can do Zoom, you can do Loom, you can still provide that special touch. Yes, you do lose the personalized talks, right? I mean, some of my clients, we'll spill all the tea, right? Because it's like we haven't seen or spoken to each other in a year, and they're like, girl, what's going on with you? And I'm like, girl, what's going on with you, right? And while I'm doing their taxes, like, they're telling me all their tea over the past year, and I'm telling them all my tea over the past year, okay? But when you're trying to scale though, the point is here, when you're trying to scale, it's really hard to keep that up. It's really hard to keep that up. So we have to do it in another way. We have to do it with our video or recorded messages, like I was telling you guys earlier on Loom, that one of my clients does. We have to do it now with note cards, right, that we write them for their birthday, or just following up with them, putting them on our newsletter, staying consistent with our marketing, staying consistent with our video marketing, our messaging, so that they can continue to see us and build that relationship through video. So there is just a different way that you have to do it now when you're looking to scale, and that means that you are not going to be the person that they are going to be able to talk to, right? It came a time within my business where when clients called and they were looking for Krista, they were like, no, I'm going to help you. Krista's with the client, even though I wasn't with the client. I remember one tax year, it was 2015. I told my brother and my cousins, I said, I do not want to speak to anyone. I want to work on a business. Like honestly, that was the time where I was just trying to like step into like that CEO role. I was like, I can't be the person that they only feel comfortable with, right? How many of you guys have, if you've been doing taxes for a while, your clients become spoiled, where they only feel comfortable talking to you. They only feel comfortable, you doing their taxes. And when you guys put yourself in that position, you are going to limit the ability on your capacity to scale. Because it's only so many tax returns you can do. It's only so many people you can talk to in a day. So you need to start weaning those people off, okay, if you've already been doing this. Now, for my new people, if you haven't yet spoiled your clients, blessed be, okay? Don't spoil them, okay? Get them used to working virtually. Get them used to onboarding themselves. Get them used to uploading their tax documents to your onboardable system. Get them used to, sending you a chat message, right? As opposed to calling you or texting you. Like, you want to create the working standard now, right? Because however you start is how they expect you to finish. And sometimes you do start you start off spoiling your clients because it's just you and your business. Your business is small, right? And you can provide that concierge services, you can provide those one-on-ones, but as you start to scale, your access is going to be limited. Their access to you is going to be limited, and people are not going to like that. They're going to be like, what do you mean I can't talk to her? What do you mean she's not going to do my taxes, right? So be prepared. And I think every business person that scales their business, it gets really uncomfortable, and you're afraid that you're gonna let a lot of people down, because now you have to go from one business model to the next business model, because now you're going from one to a few people now to one to many people, right? Hundreds and hundreds of people where you're onboarding, right? And so your access is going to be limited. Your ability to be the person talking to them is going to be limited. So we just have to make sure now that the people that we hire, there needs to be that quality of standard. So for instance, with my company, I have written out like my mission and vision, what are our core principles, what's our mission, what's our vision for the future. And one of the things that I noticed something fascinating, how I showed up as a solopreneur, like my core values as just Krista in her business, and Krista now with dozens and dozens of employees and contractors, are the same, right? In essence. Okay, so here's what I mean. When it was just Krista, I had a strong core value of giving value, actually giving more value than what I was being paid, right? It has always been a core value of mine. Okay, that actually has transitioned now to the people that I work for. It's like we go above and beyond, right? We give more than what we receive, right? Customer service is a priority, which is why our customer service is every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Because I know firsthand how it feels to have an issue or to have a problem or have a question. You can't contact someone or you can't get a resolution right away. So that's always been a core value of mine, even as a solopreneur, now transitioning to a corporation that now has dozens of employees and contractors. So I would say, however you've been operating as a solo practitioner, your core values are going to translate to your team members, right? When my team sees me working and it's a holiday, when my team sees me working and it's my daughter's birthday, like that does set the tone of the standards and your principles and the qualities. And I'm not saying do what I do, okay? Y'all don't set your own standards, okay? And I'm not even saying mine is totally right. I'm just saying when you, however you're operating now as a solo person, your employees are going to be watching you. Your contractors, the people that are infiltrated in your zone, they're going to be watching you. So how you're showing up is going to influence how they behave. Right? So oftentimes if you see poor customer service, or if you hear about poor experiences from employees or downline people, it's because that standard wasn't set at the top, right? It's because that standard typically wasn't set at the top. Now, obviously, we're not about to get nuanced with companies that have thousands and thousands of employees, because some of that stuff get lost, are set at the top. So how you are operating right now is how people are going to, when they work for you, and when they work with you, you want them to emulate you. And if you are not a person to be emulated, if you have poor work ethic, then they're going to pick that up. They're going to sense that. And you'd be surprised what people can sense online, right? Like my clients have told me some stuff that just blew my mind on what they can sense about me online. I'm like, you can sense that? And it was like, yeah, Krista, because you showed up differently, right? All right, so Monica says, working my 9 to 5 is taking a lot of my time. Hey, Monica. Okay, so Monica, yes, working your 9 to 5 does take up a lot of time. It really does. And I actually did a training for my community that really talked about all this. It was like a 1-hour in-depth training on how to just transition from your 9 to 5. One of the things that I said in that training was you have to prioritize your time and energy. So what that looks like is, when I was working at Chase Bank was the last corporate job that I had before I actually quit and transitioned to, entrepreneurship. When I was working Chase Bank, I would have to be at work at 8:30, and I got off at around 5:30, okay? In the morning, I would have to wake up, get my daughter together, get her dressed, feed her breakfast, drop her off at daycare, go to work, and then I would have to pick her back up and do it all over again, right? Cook dinner, give her a bath, play with her, right? Love on her, and then put her to sleep. Now, during those times, I had to hack when I was going to work on my business. So on my lunch break, I would work on my business. And if I'm honest with you guys, between clients, I love Chase Bank, so sorry Chase Bank, but between clients, I was working on my business, right? I was studying for my enrolled agent exam. I was, getting my business incorporated. I was doing research, right, to figure out what I needed to start this business. So you have to just get all the stuff that you can in between time, in the meantime, okay? And then when my daughter went to sleep, I would literally stay up until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would study for the enrolled agent exam. I would, plan out my business. I remember so vividly sitting on that couch. I stayed in a loft that year. It was 2012. I was pregnant with my son, and I had my notebook, a notebook like this. And I remember writing down how many clients would I need to get to just replace my salary, right? To make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. And I'm like, okay, if I had an average fee at $300, how many clients would I need to make $40,000? How many clients would I need to make $100,000? And I remember sitting there and looking at those numbers and just thinking how obtainable it was. I'm like, man, all I would need is 444 clients to make, right, the income go. And I would spend time on Vistaprint. I don't even know if Vistaprint's still popping like it was back in 2012. But I would be on Vistaprint, getting business cards made, getting flyers made, like designing stuff. Like Vistaprint was like the modern day, or was like the back in the day Canva, okay? Like, cause you can design your business cards, you can design your car decals, right? My window decals. Like I would spend hours just preparing myself for this business, right? Thinking about how I was going to get clients, where did I need to pass out my business cards to? What did I need to do to actually get my name out, right? So I was doing research on marketing. So I say all that to say, Monica, like you have to get it in where you can get it in, okay? You just got to put it in there. You got to put it in there and just be relentless on it. I'm telling you, you got to be relentless on it and don't give up until you start getting that success, until you start getting traction. One of the things that I always tell people, I always tell them I would never quit my job again before it was time. And the reason why is because I quit my job right before I started my tax business, and I struggled to provide for my family, to pay for diapers for my newborn, okay? I struggled during that time. So I always tell clients, I never want people to make the same mistakes. If you can learn from my mistakes and just make newer mistakes, okay, but learn from my mistakes. What you want to do is you want to get clients. You want to start generating some revenue. You want to try to replace or get as close as possible to replacing your salary before you quit your job, right? You want to have a cushion, whether that's monthly recurring revenue coming in or that's actually money in the bank, before you actually just walk away. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that I know how frustrating it is to work a 9-to-5, to go in to a job, and you making these people money, but you want to be doing it for yourself, right? You're going into a job, you are putting all of your resources, your time, and your energy into this company, but you really desire to do that for yourself. I know how frustrating that can be. And on top of being probably micromanaged by the supervisors and managers wherever you work at, right? Just being, just not really having maybe a lot of upward mobility within where you work at, right? Not having a clear line of sight on how you can transition. So I know, guys, I know how frustrating it could be, where you actually any day now, you just want to go in there and be like, I quit. And you just want to throw the paper up and be like, I quit this stuff, right? I'm gone, I'm out. I know how that feels. I was there. But I want you guys to take your time. And I always say short-term pain for long-term gain. Like, take your time, build up your business, get some clients, right? Still go into work and do a good job, right? Don't start slacking on your job. Don't do that. Actually, try to be even better at your job, right? Like, try to use your job as like a learning experience, as like this learning game that, like, how can I absorb so much information of what this job can teach me that I can now utilize in entrepreneurship, right? Because corporate is going to teach you a lot. Corporate is going to teach you about customer service, right? Like, analyze their customer service policies. Like, you probably haven't really pulled up your company's handbook or their policies and procedures, but if you haven't and you're looking to transition into your own entrepreneur, into entrepreneurship, go ahead and pull up your company's current policies and procedures. Read them, right? Look to see their memos that they're putting out to their employees. Look to see their newsletters. Like, start actually looking at your job as like real world training for you to transition into you being an entrepreneur. Because I'm telling you, you're gonna, if you actually start to pay attention, you're gonna start learning a lot. You're gonna start seeing deeper into why they do the things they do, why are things set up the way they're set, and you're gonna be able to take a lot of good information and take that into your own business. So show up even harder at your job and go hard on your business, but take your time to build it up to where now when you put in that 2-week notice, you have monthly income coming in, or you have some savings that's going to last you about 6 months, or a combination of both, okay? If you really want to do it right. And so when you walk away, you're walking away fresh. You're walking away with a fresh start and not behind the 8 ball, right? Where now you have to figure out, oh my God, how do I, hurry up and replace my salary? How do I hurry up and make what I was making at my job? And now you're causing yourself undue stress. You're causing you and your family undue stress and mental health issues, okay? Trust me, I've been there, okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. Just take your time. Gabrielle says processing loans, taxes, marketing, follow-up, gaining more bookkeeping clients, and cleaning books for current clients. Yes. Monica says looking to hire ASAP. So yeah, guys, you have to start outsourcing that stuff. So what I would do is I would write down a to-do list, okay? Actually, I would write down everything that you are currently doing right now in your business. And then one of the things that I did several years ago was I wrote down a to-don't list. How many of you guys have written out your to-don't list? How many? Type of one in the chat if you even heard of that. Has anyone heard of a to-don't list? So your to-don't list, pretty self-explanatory, right? It's all the things that you don't want to do. It's all the things that you should not be doing. It's all the things that are, again, they're important but tedious, right? They're important but tedious. You don't have to do that stuff. You can outsource it. And honestly, you can pay someone pennies on the dollar to do a lot of the work that is tedious but important, okay? So what that means is you can pay someone right now to do the basic bookkeeping for you for like $10 an hour, right? You can pay someone to do the data entry on your tax preparation, okay? You can pay someone to help you with your social media marketing for like $5 a day, $10 a day. One of my clients, she has someone writing her emails for her. Every email that they write is $10, okay? You guys, if you're sending one email a week, that's $40 a month for someone to send out some high quality content for you. So you want to write all these things that you are doing and actually outsource it to your to-don't. Outsource it. Don't do it. You don't have to do it. One of the things that Jeff Bezos said that I completely agree with, he said, it always fascinates me when CEOs say that they are overwhelmed. He said, why are you overwhelmed? You're the CEO. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. You can outsource it. You can get someone else to do it, right? And I want you guys to look at your business the exact same way. You don't have to be the person doing the taxes or bookkeeping. And I know that's like a complete paradigm shift for some of you. You're like, what? Don't I have to do my own bookkeeping, my client's bookkeeping? Don't I have to do the tax preparation? And it's like, no. Absolutely not. No, you don't. You don't have to do it. Now, do you need to understand bookkeeping and tax preparation so you can provide a high quality control assurance process? Absolutely. But you don't have to be the person actually doing the work. Gabriel says, where do I get the penny employees from? Yeah, Gabriel, we hired some really smart people from the Philippines, from India, from Pakistan, right? Very, very smart people that have master's degrees, bachelor's degrees in accounting. They're QuickBooks Pro advisors. They are proficient in U.S. tax law. There are some very smart people that you can find, and you can use places like Upwork, Upwork.com to post your jobs and find some very great people. Like, a lot of the contractors that I work with are in those countries, and they're very smart people that do quality work, right? For, again, pennies on a dollar. And so I was just talking to my daughter the other day about this. I said, years ago, when you hear about big corporations outsourcing work to, Mexico or to China or to India or stuff like that, it's like, oh, how dare these corporations, right? And I was telling my daughter, she's 13. Today is her birthday. She turned 13 today. We're actually about to go to the mall. I was telling my daughter, we were having a conversation the other day, and I said, as my business is growing, as my corporation is growing, I find myself actually leveraging a lot of really smart people from other countries, a lot of people from India, Pakistan, the Philippines. And I told her, I was like, I understand now, because now actually I'm running a corporation. I'm running a corporation where profits, right, our ability to profit on everything that we do is important, right? It's important. And so when you are, scaling and you're transitioning, you start to make very strategic decisions, and you start to understand why big corporations do what they do. And I was telling my daughter, I was like, you see this iPhone probably cost only $6 to make, but Apple sells it for $1,000, right? For $800, for $1,100, for $1,200. I said, because they have a responsibility to their shareholders, right? They have a responsibility to the company to stay in business, right? To be as profitable as can be. Now, I did tell her about the, like the inhumane conditions of some of these places, right? Of manufacturing companies and how people are being exploited. So we look at both sides. We're talking about the corporations and how they're profiting, but we're also talking about the people who, when it's not done right, get the short end of the stick. So how I like to come at it, I like to leverage other countries and other people in countries, but I still, is always a core value, is to pay a fair wage, right? It's to pay a wage that will be commensurate to their experience and to where they live. So even though I'm working with outsourced contractors in different countries, the dollar equivalent still is substantial for them, right? These people are making, in their dollars, thousands of dollars a week, right? For me, I'm probably spending a few hundred, but if you translate it to them, it's thousands of dollars a week. So we don't believe in no slave labor and like exploiting people from other countries. Like, we pay a fair and more than adequate rate for people in these other countries to provide these high quality services. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, because I had these talks with my daughter. I'm like grooming her, right? Because she's 13, and by the time she's a grown woman, like, the idea is for her to come and join the corporation, for her to come work in the business, right? And so now these talks are happening. I'm letting her know some of the decisions that I'm making. Like she knows like what's frustrating for me. Like, my daughter, we read each other like books. She look at me and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing." She's like, "No, I know something's wrong. What's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just frustrated because of this work situation, or this happened with this contractor," right? And so she's learning a lot right now. She has been learning a lot just at the age of 12 and 13, right? 12 and 13 years old. Thank you, Sandrisha. Tiana Sandrisha says happy birthday. Everybody on Facebook and Instagram says happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, we're about to go to the mall, right? You about to spend all my money?
Yeah.
She's about to spend all my money, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun. All right, guys. So wonderful talk today. I just want to hop in and just have kind of like this tax and bookkeeping biz talk with you guys. Really just talk about situations that's been happening over the past 10 years for me, and situations that are happening to clients right now, things that you guys can learn from, become better at, and just make your journey easier, right? That's just my whole intention, is to help make your journey easier to where you're getting clients faster, you are making more money in less time, right? You're offering high value services that feel good to you. You're working with your ideal clients that you want to work with, right? So listen, if you want more support, if you want to learn how we can work together and how you can continue to have this dialogue, because I have these talks with my clients every morning at 9 a.m., right? We have our Zoom mentor talks where they can ask me any question about their business. They can get tax help, bookkeeping help. I can review a tax return for them, right? If you guys want this high level of support, and you want to understand like how to get more clients, how to use social media to do your marketing, how to attract your niche clients, how to charge $1,500 for a tax return, right? How to charge $2,000 a month for CFO services. If you want to learn these strategies, I'm going to invite you to work with me. Check out my program, Tax and Accounting 6-Figure Accelerator. The link is in my bio or in this link below this video. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. Bye, Facebook. So we'll end Facebook, and then we'll end Instagram. Bye, Instagram. See you guys later.